I love this passage in Philippians too because Paul puts a value on our relationships. See, he says the goal of our Christian walk is that we would be united, that we would share in one common love, in one spirit, in one mind. And we do this as we have three examples that he gives us. First, he gives us Jesus, who is our ultimate example. But that feels too lofty. Yes, Jesus humbled himself to death on a cross for our sins. But that feels like way beyond what we can do. So then Paul gives us Timothy and Epaphroditus. Timothy, who faithfully serves with Paul, who loves Paul, who gives himself up for him, and who loves the church and who loves the people of the church. And so he's always giving of himself so that the church might grow. Then we have Epaphroditus, who is so worried. I love this train of thought. Epaphroditus is sick, but his main worry is that the Philippians will be worried about him when they find out he is sick. And so Epaphroditus has, first of all, given his life to serve the needs of Paul, but then he is also worried and loving on the people that he came from. His thought, his mind isn't on his own sickness. It's on those people that he loves. And these two men show us great examples that we need to follow as believers. Now, the passage that we skipped in Philippians 2, we went through Philippians 2, 1 through 11, and then 19 to 24 with Timothy, and then 25 to 30 with Epaphroditus. But we skipped these verses in the middle between 12 and 18. I want to read those for you now. It says, "Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. For it's God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky, as you hold firmly to the word of life. Then I will be able to boast on the day of Christ that I did not run or labor in vain. But even if I'm being poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice, and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you. So you too should be glad and rejoice with me." First, there's a couple things I want to highlight out of here. First, he says to work out your salvation. See, we often downplay our relationships or our friendships, and yet that is one of the most important things at your age. One of the most important things for a teenager is that they might have friendships. And what Paul is saying here is that it's in our friendships that we live out, we work out our salvation. Your relationship with God is evidenced in your relationships. Timothy's relationship with God was evidenced in how he treated Paul. Epaphroditus' relationship with God was lived out in how he worried about the Philippians. And so for you and I, we work out our salvation as we love the people around us. And we often think that we work out our salvation as we love people like the homeless man on the sidewalk or people that are hard to love. But the truth of the matter is, our walk with God is consistently shown through the people that are around us. And so we need to surround ourselves with people like Timothy and Epaphroditus. We need to surround ourselves with people who are willing to sacrifice to show the gospel. We also need to be a Timothy and Epaphroditus to the people around us. We show our love for God by loving the friends that he has given us well, by reminding each other of the gospel, by showing each other where we're believing a lie or where we're living in sin, and doing so in a way that's loving and encouraging and lifting each other up. We live out the gospel every day. We work out our salvation every day through the friendships that God has given us, through those close relationships. And when we do, it says we will shine among them like stars in the universe. When we have friendships that are centered around Christ, we will shine like golden stars in the sky. We will shine among people who don't believe. The thought and idea is that they will be attracted to the gospel because of the relationships they see that we have built. They might look at our relationships with our parents and go, well, that's different. I wonder why that's so different. They might look at our friendships and go, well, they are different. One of the main areas that he mentions that our friendships need to be different is that we need to do everything without grumbling or complaining. So in our friendships, isn't that a place where we often grumble, where we often complain? And here Paul is saying, wait a minute. If in your friendships you choose to love and serve each other, and you choose not to grumble and complain, you are going to show off the gospel to a world who so desperately needs it. You don't have to go door to door evangelizing. You have to live godly Christian lives. And in so doing, you're going to be like Jesus. And you're going to be like Timothy, and you're going to be like Epaphroditus. You're going to be like Paul. When you show Jesus in your friendships by choosing to love and serve one another, and by choosing not to grumble or complain, you will show off the gospel to a people who desperately need to hear about Jesus.